Welcome to another episode of Three Questions and a Laugh, a chance for me to talk to really interesting people about really interesting topics, and then ask them to share a joke, a funny story, a pun, something to bring a smile and a laugh to you during these challenging times. My guest today is Kristi Turner. Kristi is the CMO of Compeat, which is the leading restaurant software solution out in the marketplace. Kristi, welcome.
Thank you, Craig. It's great to be here. Appreciate you asking me.
Absolutely. Well, not only are you the CMO of Compeat, but I'm going to embarrass you for a moment. You actually were named in 2019 by Hospitality Technology Magazine as a top women in restaurant technology award winner for lifetime achievement. Is that true?
That is correct. I still say I'm too young for that. It sounded really, really old, but yes,
Well,
it was a great honor.
you,
I was humbled.
you clearly have made a huge impact in the restaurant and technology industry. So congratulations on that. And it's an honor to have an icon like you sharing some thoughts with us. So thank you.
Thank you.
So very few industries have been hit as hard as the hospitality and restaurant industry have. And so we thought it might be interesting to have your three questions, kind of dig into what you all are learning from this and what is happening in the restaurant industry. So I'll dig in and start right away. What leadership lessons have you as a company, Compeat, learned during this time, especially given sort of the rapid pace in which it's hit the restaurant industry?
Yeah, great question. And we probably don't have enough time to list all the lessons learned, but I think the COVID-19 crisis, it impacted our industry, our company, our customers, and all of us personally. And it was at a speed and a depth that none of us could have ever imagined. And so the gravity of the shift was drastic than anything the company had experienced in 20 years. And I think, first of all, the lesson was that we had to acknowledge that this was different than anything we had seen before. There was no business case to follow. And there were so many elements of it that were completely out of our control. And so speed of reaction was essential. And, not only to ensure we survived both short-term and long-term, but that our customers and that we were part of helping our customers adjust and survive very, very quickly. So literally within days, our worst case scenario became our best case scenario, and every budget and every priority list and strategy was obsolete overnight. And it was a new world, and we just had to adapt. And so, we scaled down expenses. We started with pay cuts. We started cutting all unnecessary expenses. And then we had to make the difficult decision, like so many companies, to furlough and lay off a significant percent of our employees. And the interesting thing about that was it was a little bit different because you had to think about, what talent and skill sets did you need to keep the lights on and survive in a crisis versus what we were thinking about before, which is what talent and skill sets do we need to be a high growth SaaS company. And so the answer to both of those are very, very different. And it was gut wrenching, as always, for leaders to make those decisions. But you had to balance the reality that, we had to pull back aggressively for the financial health of the company. And the hardest thing, I think, from a leadership perspective was that we were making that decision at the same time that we were having to watch and empathize with what our employees and our customers were feeling and how they were processing what was happening, both professionally and personally. And everybody was digesting it at a different speed, right? And so you just had everybody having kind of ahas about how severe this is at different times. And part of leadership is being there for your people, right? And so it was very difficult to shift that quickly and keep up with what we could do, what we can't do, what the laws were, what the government was saying. It was just different. It was very, very different, and a lot of lessons learned from the leadership team.
And a lot of lessons learned yet to come as we
Mm-hmm.
get out of this stage into the next stage. So it's been painful to watch what you all as an industry have gone through, and yet I know that we will and you will bounce back stronger and better than ever. You're a technology company, and so are we. What role has technology played both in this crisis as you've evolved and adapted, but also do you see it playing going forward in the recovery in the restaurant industry?
Yeah, I think the right technology is essential to every restaurant surviving during the crisis and then thriving after the crisis. And I think, if you look at technology by nature, right, or good technology by nature, I should say, it's designed to save a business time and money, help them generate revenue or control cost. And our technology is no different, right? And the very nature of our technology is to help restaurants' profitability, to help them drive revenue and control their two biggest costs, labor and uh, food cost, and give them the visibility they need to business intelligence reports that enable them to make the right decision and make it quickly. And so we really just turned our focus on certain features and best practices of our software that could help our restaurants adjust quickly to the sudden 100% takeout model that they found themselves in, and helping them see reports that could help them analyze the most profitable items, the most popular items, or food that traveled well, and how they could measure that, how they could reduce their menu for their best hope for surviving. And I think it was a lot of those business intelligence and best practices that are helping restaurants make the right decision in a very timely manner. So I think, again, technology is essential to survival because they have less employees right now, right? And so they are dependent more on the technology more than ever before.
Makes sense. Now you're a marketer in a technology world. And as a CMO, the rules are all being rewritten. So what are your new rules of marketing post-COVID, if you will?
Yeah, I think what came very apparent very quickly as a marketing leader was the marketing ROI changed greatly, right? And so before the crisis, we kind of measured every marketing spend at my company against a pretty stringent ROI, right? We tracked every dollar, it was accounted for. We tracked conversion rates of leads by type of marketing. And suddenly we had to switch to a new currency. And that new currency was, we were really doing marketing to build trust and credibility. And you're not going to get your typical ROI on traditional marketing spend during COVID. And it's going to slowly evolve back to some new normal after COVID. But how you respond and what you communicate to customers and prospects during the crisis is going to build that trust and credibility. And, it's my belief that eventually, this will be a greater ROI, because I do believe customers and prospects will remember who helped them through the crisis and who was focused on helping them versus maybe the vendor that was calling them saying, why haven't you paid the invoice? So I do believe there will be a strong ROI long-term for companies that do that. And then I think that the second thing from ROI was the tonality of the marketing message, right? You immediately, marketers had to change their tonality to empathize with what was happening during the COVID and get out of sales mode and get into help mode. And so the tonality of the marketing is very, very different than it was pre-COVID, and essential. And I think content marketing and thought leadership is part of any marketing strategy, and an essential part of that marketing strategy. But during COVID, they actually became everything, right? That was your kind of one tool.
And regardless of the industry, those of us that are looking at marketing are seeing those who are trying to build trust and credibility and safety and security, and those who are using the right tonality and those who aren't. So I think you're exactly right that the ROI measurements will be different going forward.
No
Well,
question.
thanks for answering the 3 questions. Now comes the laugh part, a chance for you to share with all of our listeners a joke, a pun, a funny story, something to bring a smile to their face. So give us something to make us laugh.
Okay, so I thought of something that is appropriate because I think it's an analogy for what COVID is doing for us. I
Okay.
call it my bird dog moment. And so you have to realize that I have a morning ritual routine where I kind of get up before the rest of the household. I make coffee, I feed the dog. The dog and I go out into the screened-in patio you can actually see behind me. It's my special place. I kind of meditate, pray, plan my day. It is my favorite part of the day. And it's like this calming ritual, and I kind of ease into a day. And so one morning a few months ago, I was starting my gentle routine. And as I bought in the dog food from the garage, I opened the garage because we're going to go out and walk. And, I bring the dog food in, and a bird flies into my house, comes in behind me. I throw the dog food up. The bird is flying around the kitchen, the living room. I'm in my pajamas. The dog is eating the food, chasing the bird, eating the food, chasing the bird. It's just complete havoc, chaos. I get a broom. After 10 or 15 minutes of this dance with the dog and the bird, finally the bird goes out. But then the dog chases the bird into pouring rain. So I run out in my pajamas with my broom to go get the dog. So you can imagine the view my neighbors had. And then I get the dog in, I come in, I'm in my kitchen. I have not had my first cup of coffee. I am drenching wet in my pajamas, holding a broom going, what just happened? And started laughing hysterically at myself and what I must have looked like and what this whole scene must have looked like that nobody saw except for maybe a few neighbors. And I think that's what COVID is, right? And that's, as leaders and companies, we have these bird dog moments. We can't see them coming. They happen at any time, but it's how we respond to them, and the ability to laugh at ourselves is essential to surviving.
Well, that is the whole uh, premise behind this podcast, behind this video series, is to be able to laugh at ourselves and to smile. And you're right, that story is exactly what we're all going through. So you're not the only one having your own bird dog moments, but thank you for sharing that. More importantly, thank you for spending a few minutes with us today. We appreciate your candor and your perspective, and we look forward to hearing of your continued success and Compeat's continued success going forward.
Thanks for having us, Craig.
You bet. Take care.